ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening, hearing, or watching the 15th, possibly 15th episode of the Two and a Half LLCs podcast. I am your host, Retro Dre, aka Dre. And if you want to follow the podcast, 212 LLCs Pod on Instagram, 2 space 1 half LLCs on podcast, 2 space 1 half LLC's podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen to and hear podcasts. So, today I am here with a guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
What's up? My name's Sijade, and I go to William Peace University. And first of all, brother, I gotta say, if you don't want, you need to follow this man's podcast on his Instagram and anything else that he just mentioned that he said you can follow. You go ahead and do that. For real.
Yeah, you can also follow me at retrod.r.e on Instagram and RetroDre _ on Twitter as well, and RetroDre on YouTube also.
Oh, you just all over the place.
You gotta be, man. I'm on TikTok.
Ain't no half stepping, huh?
Yeah, ain't no way, man.
I don't blame you, brother.
Ain't no way.
I thank you for having me on, dude. It's amazing what you're doing. Out here about to be the next Kevin Hart, Quincy Jones, and Arsenio Hall, brother. You just doing it all, bro.
I ain't gonna say all that. I'm the next me. That's what I am. The next me.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, this is we're here, man. It's Two and a Half LLCs podcast, rebranded, revitalized, reinvigorated. You were on the last iteration of our podcast, and now you're on this version as well.
Small world, and I keep forgetting how much time is flying. That was just on your podcast a while back, and now we're here, bro.
Yes, sir.
All you, hard work, dedication, persistence.
Got to, man.
Paid off.
And yeah, we'll still keep going, man. Still keep grinding, still developing, still trying to create new and interesting ways to vitalize the podcast. I don't even want to say that word right, but
It's all right.
yeah,
It's all right. We're going to
vitalize the podcast game, man.
They get it. Folks, then they understand it. So how's that process? What does that look like for you, bro? The vitalizing, we just gonna go along with the word, correct us if we wrong later. Shoot us if not, feel me?
Yeah.
But how does that process look like for you?
Pretty much just having me doing my own thing, but also me in this iteration, me and the people I have hosting, having people that we know from all different types of fields that we're interested in, that we do and also they're interested in, or maybe figuring out how these people or organizations or companies have came to who they are, what goods or bad they went through, how they started, how they're building, and what they're trying to do for the future, and just really trying to get from our perspective and wanting to learn more about what we do, but also what other people have done to get to a certain point as a business or whatnot. So.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Not only are you helping yourself out, but you're also willing to teach others what you've learned. That's what it's about. So congrats, bro. Much love, much success.
Yeah, that's the most important thing that I've noticed in life so far is once you gain the knowledge and experiences to pass on to other people that can benefit from that, regardless of what field. Obviously, you may not know everything. I don't suggest anybody wants to know everything because your head gonna explode, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
No
as
man
far
can learn everything.
As far as really just giving the knowledge and information of what you've been through, what you've done to somebody else who wants to learn it and really wants to get more into the field or just more answers to the question that they ask, and give the information that's correct, not give them dis or misinformation like the news does. It's just really give them, all right, you want to know this, I'll just tell you from my experience, or where else you can get other information from these people, this company, or this source, or whatever.
Well, in regards to that, I mean, it's difficult to receive information because a lot of times in today's society, everybody's in a competition with each other.
Yeah.
And to get that resource means that you have to give up your own secrets on how you become successful to somebody else. And in the back of that person's mind, they're not looking at you as someone that they can pass on your legacy to, or a younger version of themselves, because we all didn't get here just of hard work. We got here because of someone's opportunity to take on us. Somebody gave us the opportunity. And so they become selfish and they look at you as a opponent. So that's why a lot of times people don't share their knowledge.
It all depends on who you ask and who you're in the room with.
That's true too.
Because there's a saying that I just learned about a week ago is give away 90% for free, but sell the other 10.
Elaborate on that.
So you have people asking you questions, or they may want to come by and learn from whatever that you're offering, whatever expert skill that you have that you're offering. Because everyone has a gift in their own right that they are very special at. And you got somebody or a group of people that may ask you questions sometimes. Hey, what about this? What about this? So, for example, YouTube channels that specialize in, say, music production. They'll give you the tips and the sauce on most of what they know, but they're not going to tell you everything because you have to pay for something.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
Everybody's goal is to make money.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing to sell, if you're giving everything away for free, then you can't make an honest living out doing what you love, and that makes people end up being depressed, sad, or just in general bad business. It's bad business. Because for business, you have to have the people coming back for something.
Okay.
You give a product to sell, and you want them to keep coming back and getting more of it. So you make it produce more of what you're trying to sell, and also create new products that in between times that you either test out or you want to put in besides what you regularly sell.
So you're saying that the people who are giving out this information, they're not going to give a lot because they want people to come back in so they can buy their product.
Some yes and no.
Okay.
Some people will give a lot, but they can't give you everything because they have to sell something.
Okay.
Because there are people, because you're going to eventually build a following or a cult or group, however you want to call it, that is going to listen or buy everything you have to say or sell. So you have to give them something to buy. Because if they just keep coming on for free, then you're not going to make residuals out of it.
Yeah. Well, some people, they give like YouTube advice out on YouTube, and they also have, they also reference their book. You can also, if you want more details on how to deal with this or how to make this, go buy my book on Amazon, such and such. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. But in the same token, though, you're receiving a lot of information depending on the person and what information they're giving out.
Of course.
On YouTube. I mean, there's so much vast information you can get out on the internet. It's ridiculous, bro.
That's why you have to watch and vet where you're getting your information from, too.
Yeah.
Because not everyone has good information to offer.
A
lot of people out here spitting out BS that they would never follow. I don't know if you heard these people, but Fresh and Fit, these guys on YouTube who they have kind of red pill content ish, and they kind of invite women on there and other people that talk about things. I don't know much about their stuff.
Is it like the 45 South show, or is it?
No, it's not 85. I don't like the 85 South show.
85. Oops, my fault. Don't clown me. I said that absolutely the fuck wrong.
Yeah, it's not like the 85 South show.
But was it like I never heard of it. It's like a news show or what?
No, they kind of do pretty much a podcast, and they create content based off certain subjects.
Dude, well, it's so easy to sell. Can we curse on here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's so easy to sell shit because people don't have their own self-form identity. So it's so easy to sell, stuff to mindless people that'll believe anything.
Yeah.
What? Hawks are being sold and people are taking on to them. Like Clubhouse, you ever heard of that app called Clubhouse?
Yeah.
People spill nonsense of information out there, misconstrued data in the articles and the journals that they get their information from. And the people who join these apps who do not have their own like knowledge or self-concept of who they are as a person, they take on these information and change themselves. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's all about how much of a character is going to be able. Am I going to be able to profit and benefit off of?
Oh yes. What?
At the end of the day, everybody wants to get seen at some point for what they're trying to do. Now, granted, some people go different lengths and miles to achieve that, and they have different aspirations for what they're going to do when they achieve this. But at the end of the day, everybody wants these clicks and these views. Everyone.
So let me ask you something. So do you believe the people who say that they for example they get into music because they love it? It's not about the fame to them. Do you believe that's the truth then? If that's what you're saying, that eventually everybody wants these views and these clicks.
I mean, you could love something, but you also want more of the package. But also, sometimes you don't know what you love, you don't know what you're getting into when you love that. You don't know what else comes with doing what you love. You don't know what comes with it.
Hmm.
Just like in a relationship, right? You may love a woman, but you may not know her all the way. You may not have done your vetting, but some people may be in love with that woman they're with, or the man, whoever, that they don't realize how much toxic they are for them.
Yeah.
And they end up doing things or getting in situations they would never think of if they were clear minded or knew what that love was going to get them into.
Then would you say that's one of man's downfalls? Not fully being able to outweigh the pros and cons of the situations before we enter them.
Oh, most definitely, but nobody's perfect. So
That's
sometimes
true.
you're gonna be able
That's
to
true
slip
too.
up. But however, you can learn from your own mistakes or other people's mistakes before that action even occurs.
That's true too. You're absolutely right.
So it's really just a balance of, all right, am I going to? I know what I'm going to do when I'm trying to do. How am I going to do it?
But now, well, I could say for me, it's hard to get that, sense of purpose of the balance of, how I'm going to do it and where I'm going. Sometimes the road seems unsettled. You get what I'm saying? So it's hard to kind of like stay on that path.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta walk in the dark before you get to the light, though.
Mm.
It's it is.
You heard that right. That's some poetic justice words right there from Brother Andre.
It's pretty much a thing of that. You really sometimes you're gonna be uncomfortable. Honestly, when you're doing something new, you're gonna start out doing it uncomfortably. You're not gonna know everything. When I first started engineering, I didn't know how everything worked. I had to figure it out and ask questions and sit in and hone in on how this new environment I'm in and making money off of now and making money from. I had to figure out how it works. So when you first start something, you're gonna mess up. It's part of the journey. It's going to happen. If you don't, then it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing's going to be equal. It doesn't matter. You can't be scared to fail, because if you're scared to fail, you're never going to succeed. And if you're scared to succeed, you're always going to fail.
Those are words of advice right there, brother. I think in today's society, I mean, hell, I can even say, sometimes I struggle with it, perfectionism. We all struggle to, want the ability to perfect the craft or perfect the characteristic traits, when in reality there is no such thing as perfectionism. I try not to strive for that. I try to strive for growth at this point. If I can grow, hell, at least 1% each day. Because, some days are rough. Let's be honest, brother.
For
Some
sure,
days
for
are,
sure.
especially as a black man in today's climate of the world.
If that's what you carry to decide, if that's what you put yourself as, sure.
Well, I mean, how else would you put yourself as?
I put it this way. I may talk about more of this later on, or maybe
Okay.
break this down now. I'm not gonna call myself a color because that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, now you can't say that and not like elaborate on what you meant. Let me hear what you got to say. Let me hear.
Because all right, a color doesn't have history, doesn't have culture, doesn't have a language. All it is just a color. It's an adjective. It's not a noun.
Okay.
It's a corporate designation. It's an adjective.
Okay.
That's a fact. There's what's Black history? It's made up. It's not real because Black technically has no history except being the color.
Okay. Okay.
Cause all right, it's all propaganda and politics. It's all because all right.
No, I'm listening. No, I'm hearing where you're coming from.
I'm not even chuckling at you. I'm just chuckling at because what we about to get into. So
Yeah, you're gonna get some. You're gonna get some feedback for this, but it's okay. You know, if you believe it, you gotta stick with it, bro.
it's not even belief. It's just think about it. You're calling yourself this. It's just nothing. Sheet of paper or just a space.
The correct term is we're African American.
That's false too.
So then what's the correct term?
Because not all people come from Africa. Not all people that look like.
What are your descendants?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever gonna know.
Okay.
A lot of us don't know because the history got wiped away.
That's true too. But if you look it up, I mean, there's answers out there.
True indeed, but
and unless you're most Black people, because Black refers to our pigment, our skin pigment, because we have darker skin pigment.
Yeah, but it's not black though.
What's
our pigment? If you want to go by a color, you can at least say brown, because this is black.
Okay.
What we got on is black right now. That's like technically the color right here.
Let's go that brown. Okay, you want to refer to yourself as brown, which is what other people refer to us too. People that look like us, most of our descendants are either from the Caribbeans or from Africa. So either you're Black Caribbean American or you're African American.
But I'm putting it to you like this: who says everybody only came from one area?
Oh yeah, we know African. Well, we know Black people in general. We come from all different sides of the continent. That's
everywhere.
No doubt for us.
So, with that information in mind, a little, whatever, don't know exactly where they come from. That's a fact.
But see, you're looking. I think I hear what you're saying, but I think you're and it's what you're saying is not wrong, right? Because if you don't know, which I recommend everybody find out what your history is, find out where you come from, where your people come from, where you're from. Knowing who you are is an important process of forming and knowing your self identity. Two, I think the reason why I say it's an idealistic concept, and the reason why I say it's an idealistic concept is because even though you look at it like that, the system does not.
All right, let's speak on that then.
Let's speak. We can dive on that.
A system that was created
Yeah.
that was created.
Yeah.
Have certain people above, certain people below. That's just how it is.
And it still is.
And it's not going to change until it's over.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to complain about said system because I know this is what it is. Now, in order to get what you need to get and achieve what you want to achieve, you use the tools that the system provides and do what you need to do to get you and your family to where they need to be.
Yeah.
Because one can't help everybody, two, everybody doesn't want help. And you got to make sure before you help anybody else, you and your household is good.
So you're saying basically, F the community for to each his own. Survival of the fittest.
I wouldn't say F the community, but does the community care about you?
I think in terms of where your community is.
And look, what community are you talking about?
Exactly.
And
what community are you referring to? Because you essentially made the statement. I can speak on my community where I'm talking about, but what are you referring to?
I'm just referring with me as an individual in general, because I'm not about to put myself to belong to a community. Because I don't know how they think, I don't know how they are. Because I gotta
call you on now, brother. I think that's bull. I think you know exactly which community you talking about.
All right, say it.
I don't. Because like I said, I don't. I can speak for my community back at home, back in Jersey.
Yeah, all right.
My community that's composed of a majority of African Americans. That's my community.
Got you. I don't belong to a community. I have my family.
Okay.
And I'm an individual that belongs to my family where I was born.
And that's a community, family communion.
Yeah.
Communal family.
Okay. Fair. But I'm not gonna say, oh, I belong to the Black community, because that's not a concept That's a false concept.
Okay. So the black community hasn't, in some way, any form or fashion, helped you become the man or influenced any part of your growth or who you are today?
I would see this way. I've learned a lot of different things from a lot of different people and a lot of different resources.
Well, no, we ain't gonna do
No.
that. I asked you a specific question.
You gotta wait for me to get to my point.
Okay.
Because I have a way to get my points. I never get there because everybody always likes to cut me off while I say.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna hear you out, brother.
I've learned a lot of different things from a lot of different people, a lot of different places. And through my gaining of knowledge from people that actually look like me, that I've gotten to this point that I found out that black, quote unquote, is just a color, not an actual race, not an actual culture, not something that I need to call myself because it's not real. It's just a corporate designation to put everybody in the group to make it easy to identify. That's not real.
I understand it. This is appropriate way how to be able to disagree to agree. I hear what you're saying. I respect what you're saying as my friend. However, I disagree though. I disagree.
That's fair.
Because blackness is embedded in our history, and well,
What's the
I can't
definition
say
of black?
our history because
What's the definition?
apparently you don't go along with our history.
What's the
Blackness doesn't have, yes, blackness is not tied to ethnicity, but it's the color of our pigment. I'm brown skin. I'm African American. Yes. Even though I'm not black, I have family members who are the skin tone of black. Blackness is more than a skin pigment. It's tied to our history. It's who we are. And it is a culture, because if it's not, why do we have the term culture appropriation?
Because
Why is there different ethnicities copying our wave, our style, who we are and what it means to be black in America? If that's the case, then
Because that's all that's been promoted. Is this the term?
no, that's what's been stolen.
That's the term that people like to use. They don't say it's black, so they lump everything together where it's not.
Who?
The people that culture appropriate, that's all that's promoted on TV. That's all the media promotes, and that's all people that may only watch the news knows is the term black culture. That's
Why?
because that's how it's marketed.
Nah, gotta dive deep in that, brother. Why? Because they understand, they see and understand the importance of who we are as a people. We sell. We've been selling for centuries now, ever since we were brought over here illegally.
Who says you weren't here already?
Oh yeah, some of us were. Yeah, there were black Native Americans, but we're talking about the 80% or more of other illegal people that were brought over here on this continent.
Who said it was just 80? And who
I said 80% or more.
Who said? I'm saying it could be less too.
No, it's not less. I can pull up a historical report right now that shows that.
Okay.
Yeah, I try not to speak on anecdotal. Excuse me, excuse me on that big word. I try not to speak on facts I don't know. Some of those, yeah.
And who said that quote unquote black people were the only one that's brought over here?
I didn't say they weren't, but
No,
we're specifically talking right. See, that's what sometimes people do. We're specifically talking right now about African Americans. So I can't speak on anybody else because I don't have knowledge on anybody else. Specifically, we're both. I'm assuming you're African American.
I don't know that.
Well,
I can't.
specifically, I could say for me as an African American, my knowledge of my people. Then,
Yeah.
so
That's the main thing. That's one reason I don't even like call myself that as a learner, because there's people that are actually from Africa that do not like people from America because of that fact, because they don't know where they come from, their history. That people say, oh, and if you notice, people will be like, oh man, America's so messed up and all that, and then you tell them, hey, why did you go back to Africa and all that? Why don't you just leave? They don't leave.
Well, Africans and African Americans have had this huge disrupt within our relationship, because one, we've had growing up with stereotypes that have been projected to us by white cultures of what Africans are like. So we go out and we, say these stereotypes, and then Africans have stereotypes of African Americans that white culture projects about us as well. That we're lazy, that we don't do anything but have babies. And so that's what some Africans believe about some African Americans. So, yeah, to speak on the differences that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's a very divide. There's also great unity as well. I mean, where I grew up, there's great unity between African Americans and Africans in the school system of Newark. I mean, our municipal person at the time when I was growing up was African, so it's definitely getting better. I mean, it depends on your experience.
From your point of view, I don't know. Only reason I'm saying I don't know if that's true because I don't see that. Not saying that it might not be true, but people can say a lot of things based on their own experience, which is fine. But at the end of the day, we don't know how much is really going on until nowadays we're in the age of information.
Yeah.
So you can look at all these different people, all the things going on. Say, oh, but people getting shot more. No, we're just seeing it more. Oh, more racism going on. No, we're just seeing it a little more. Oh, so many more court cases. No, we're just seeing it more. Because at the end of the day, whatever gets put on TV, it's been chosen.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things happen. People die every day. That's the famous quote is. So for somebody to make it on TV, it's not a magic, they just picked, no. There's a reason this story made it on TV, and that's this reason why this story is going national.
Yeah. Well, then to address that, I would say don't believe everything that you see at first hand. I mean, I think that's just a life skill in general. If you see something on, TV that's caught your interest, go search beyond that. Do research on it. And I think also it's important to make sure when we do research on things, try not to find research that already confirms our already preconceived biases. Try to, do research beyond that. What are the other possibilities that could come about as well? Because, hell, sometimes, everything is not always what we think it is. Sometimes there's other sides of the story. Sometimes there is a positive, view on something. So,
yeah, indeed. That's why you got to cross-reference.
Yeah, of course.
Look at your sources.
Yeah.
Just because you found an article don't mean that's all the information there.
Absolutely.
You can say that about a lot of things that's been going on the past few years, but, it just is what it is.
Absolutely. What is one thing are you referring to in particular that you think has probably, blown up in the news or media that you think is not actual factual?
Well, you may have an idea what I'm going to say, but every time people like to say this word, their channels get taken away. So I'm going to just leave that to the illusion out there, and I'm just going to skip past that because I'm not taking
Lord, I'm kind of scared to know what the word is because I'm kind of lost, Brother Andre.
We'll speak about that off here. However,
Okay.
However, I'll say this.
All right.
If a storyline gets dragged on for a while and certain information keeps popping up, it's not by accident. I'll say it like that.
Well, the news goes off of partly also what gets people's attention and what's going on. What's going on in the current state of the world, too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to that's why I'm trying to also put that little drop of, a little in there so I can see if I can conjure up exactly what you're talking about. Oh, you can't do that and not say what you was talking about, brother.
Yeah, some things don't need to be said all the time, man. I've learned sometimes you just need to shut up.
Oh well, hey, but sometimes if you gonna throw the light out there, sometimes you just gotta deal with the consequences of the flame, bro.
No, not all the time. Because I put it this way, there are certain things on certain platforms you can talk about.
Mm.
Because people love to say, "Oh, freedom of speech." BS. It's just there to be there. Because people get their channels taken down every day. People get their pages taken away every day because they're
Yeah.
saying what's not with the status quo.
Yeah.
People like to say, "Oh, that's a lie." No, it's not.
Yeah.
You cannot say what you really want to say.
Yeah. No, I do think I do think you have to be wise with your words, and there is consequences for. I think you have choices, but I think people have to be aware of the choices that they make has consequences, whether good or bad.
For sure. Listen, that little spat we just had. Listen, there's some people that's gonna click off the video. Then there's some people that's gonna watch the full clip and get context.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people that's gonna agree with me. Some people's gonna agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, wrongs, in between. Facts or not, people are gonna come up with their own solution, their own opinion and narrative from what was said in that previous conversation. And I have my ways of why I think about how I think, and you have yours.
Of course, yeah. All of our experiences, bro, and perceptions. That's all. It don't make us wrong or right. And that's the thing is about life and growth. Being able to disagree to agree respectfully. Like,
Yeah.
just because I don't agree with you don't mean I don't gotta like you. I still like you, still my bro. We just don't see it the same way, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like that's a hard thing for people to do nowadays.
Well, because people still think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have been indoctrinated for years about that concept,
Mm-hmm.
and they're attached to it. They're emotionally attached to that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody's going against it and it has a valid point or actual some facts to back it, they get scared and just want to have cognitive dissonance and be like, "Oh, nah, what you're saying is false. I don't believe you, or I don't want to believe you."
Mm-hmm.
And then they may look it up, or they may not even care to look it up. They just say you're wrong, just so they can have their belief in their mind still, so they don't have to feel uncomfortable to know that something they learned their whole life is actually false.
That's deep. I think one thing I got from what you're saying, that was important is a lot of people don't want their already preconceived notions to be false. And I think that is a problem for people who want to be stagnant and don't want to necessarily grow. Because in order to grow, you have to be able to take criticism and also other people's point of views into perception. That does not mean you have to agree, but that means you have to be able to listen and understand and hear what they're saying, and to be able to discern. Thank you for that, brother. Whether the information is true or not.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
Well, a lot of people, even though we all got phones, a lot of people don't do research.
Yes. Yes.
So you'll have
it's half-ass research too.
Yeah, you'll have people say, "Oh, no, you're wrong," but they won't refute you with a factual point to look it up. That's why a lot of things I've learned about, especially going to that topic, I won't speak about in public because one, I've had video evidence and seen it, but at the same time, I don't have the research or the facts in my phone just to pull out for the conversation, so I can't just give you the points that I have. Like, oh, this is why, this is where. It'll have to take me some days or maybe weeks to gather that info. But even though a lot of times as well, I may not have all the information needed to refute my point the way I do as well. That's why there's things I just can't speak about.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a certain historical knowledge I just don't have, because for one, most history taught in school was false or fabricated.
Mm-hmm.
And two, at the moment anyway, I'm going to in the future, but I just don't look up history facts like that. But I go to selected channels and peoples that seem like they have the information, but still I have to vet it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't vetted it yet. So even though I have my opinions, I also have to really vet it so I make sure that information is correct.
Mm-hmm. And that's big. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I said, even though it feels and it seems like it's really correct, I still got to vet that info to make sure it's right. because at the end of the day, they're just people saying things. I have to figure out if that's really true. So I really got to look this up and apply it and cross-reference it with what's being said over here and over there. Because as a true journalist or a true communications person, I have to look at both sides of the equation to put together an adequate solution or preface that what I'm saying checks out. Even though it may check out what I'm hearing, I still got to vet it for myself because just to get clarification.
Being able to look at both sides of the coins. Is that what you're saying?
It's not just that. It's just making sure the information that I feel is right, that is when going against what I've been taught, actually is correct and it checks out. But also make sure why the other side is wrong. Got to prove why the other side is wrong too.
So what does that process look like for you then? How do you know essentially if a source of information is correct on your beliefs? Because sometimes, our personal beliefs can sometimes cloud our judgment and knowledge of what is correct as well.
I put it this way: from when I'm going to be able to start doing this for real, just buckling down, I know it's going to take time that I'm going to have to sit away from the information because of the overload, but also got to make sure the sources I'm looking at and checking into checks out.
Okay.
Because, like we said earlier, there's a lot of information out there. We got to make sure it checks out. We got to make sure it checks out, and we're going through the proper channels to vet it.
Yeah.
Because so much dis and misinformation that it's so easy to get something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And it's very difficult sometimes to get something right because you got to search through page 25 of Google, or you got to go through another website that's related to the Wikipedia page at the bottom. You got to go through the source of the source of the sources.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, ain't nobody say it was going to be easy, bro. That's for sure. If you want to be, it takes a lot to be knowledgeable and to know information. It takes hard work. It takes hard work, brother.
Because I was just having this conversation yesterday. When you start to gain knowledge of stuff that's quote unquote really going on, life does get a little depressing.
It does.
However, there are certain people that are and are not supposed to know this information as well.
Yeah.
People know and don't know things for a reason.
Yeah.
As some would say, some people are chosen to know the certain information that they do. So some people just don't need to know because they're not going to be able to handle it when they do know. It's going to crush them. When I started learning some of this stuff, I was damn near depressed for a few days, but I kept looking into it. Some in me told me to not stop looking at and watching and listening to this information. So I just had to keep going. And it seemed to check out. Still got to vet it, but it seems to check out.
So do you think that blindness is beneficial then?
For people that don't need to see.
And what kind of people would you say? Does it depend on the situation?
It don't matter who. It's just certain people just aren't meant to be able to see things. Because if everybody knows, then everybody can use it for bad or good.
Well, what about the things that people should know, like, about what's going on in the world economically,
Okay.
politically and stuff like that?
Same thing applies. Research, know what you're trying to look for, but also, I'll say this. I'll tackle politics real quick. This is my opinion. Well, let me make this clarification. Anything that I say is just what I say. I'm not right, wrong, in between. I just have my thoughts and opinions on these information.
Oh, all right. What the hell are you about to say?
Now I'm saying that.
Shoot.
Nah, I say that disclaimer. Yeah. Now that I'm saying that. Politics is just a game.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it is. Just a game.
Yeah.
Basically, Bloods and Crips on the highest level. If you want to put it in a clarification.
Yeah.
But allegedly, anyway, they play on the same team. Controlled opposition. They all play on the same team.
I believe that. Same team, but different strategy.
Yeah, all it's just used is control
Yeah,
and putting narratives out there.
I agree with you on that,
That's
brother.
all.
I'm not for a particular party. I'm for who's ever pro black agenda for me.
I'm not voting ever again in my life
Mm. Well,
because I know, I know that at the end of the day, politics ain't gonna help me raise a family. Politics ain't gonna help me gain more finances and assets for myself and what I'm trying to do for my future.
well, I can understand that. I say
Unless I want to be involved in politics and profit off of it, then that's a different story. But I don't.
Mm.
Now, if that's what you want to do what you got to do. However, I will say this: if you want to change the tide and have more leaders, you got to breed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to create a leader. You can't pick a leader. You got to create
Yeah.
them. If
Yeah.
somebody picks a leader for you, then you already lost. They're controlled opposition or controlled leadership.
Yeah. I could say politics, it affects you. Not necessarily politics, the laws affect you in a way.
I'll say this about laws.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing right, you're going to be all right. If you're doing wrong, you're going to be messed up. Not saying you shouldn't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you shouldn't know what the laws are or what they do for you and against you.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're doing the right things, you'll be all right. If you're doing the wrong things, you're going to have some opposition. You're going to have some pushback. You're going to have some tension in your life.
Well, I mean,
Not saying there aren't any in-betweens in the situations where stuff don't happen. I'm not saying that at all.
well, sometimes you can't do right or wrong unless you don't know what the rules are to play along, to know if what you're doing is right or wrong.
Well, I'll say this as well.
And right or wrong can be subjective sometimes, a lot of times, then objective.
True indeed. Then if you're trying to win the game, then don't play it.
Then that, if you're saying that, then that means not survive as an American citizen.
Well, sometimes the only way to win is don't play the game.
And what does that look like for a person like me, you and me?
Well, what game are you trying to say you want to play?
Well, I'll say the game I want to play is to being able to be self-sufficient on my own 2 feet, being able to not only give back to my own family but other families as well within my community.
What's your plan?
Well,
You ain't gotta say specifics,
yeah,
but
no, yeah, just know, yeah, I have a plan. I'm setting it set in stone.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much stick to your plan and have a concrete plan and keep doing what you got to do to get where you want to be. If that's your goal and your mission,
Yeah.
what you got to do.
But I also have to be able to know the rules that I have to play in order to get my plan to succeed.
So, are you trying to be involved in politics?
No, I'm not trying to be involved at all. Like, your definition of involvement in politics is like,
No, just
municipal council level.
no. I'm just asking. Are you trying to be involved in politics in any capacity at all?
What do you mean? That's what I'm trying to like. You mean paying bills? Is that what?
No. I'm trying to say, as far as going to your plan of what you're trying to do, does that involve being involved in politics?
I can't. I don't know what God has in store for me. I don't know. But for right now, I don't think so. That's
Okay.
not on my agenda.
That's all I was asking.
But I'm talking about in order to survive as an American, you got to know what the rules and laws are, such as taxes. It's one of the biggest, easiest ways you can get locked up is not knowing how to pay and manage your taxes.
You gotta know how to save money. You gotta know how to save your money.
There's more to it actually than that.
Well, yeah. Well, get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. So saving money, but also knowing that. All right, let's big picture it right quick.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say somebody give you a $1 million check.
Mm-hmm.
Half that's going away taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So you only have 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say you spend half of that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say about a third or so. You might. All right. Let's say you get some money, right?
Okay.
You're getting your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You have a certain amount. If I'll give people like just something I've heard from before. Save a third, 30%, stash away in savings.
Mm-hmm.
So you can save that up for in case you got to pay back taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a business, know what you're spending for your business on your business.
Mm-hmm.
So, and choose your, and over this, because when you starting out doing business, if you spend over a certain amount, you're not going to be able to write it off as a deductible or whatever. I forgot what it's called
Mm-hmm.
on your taxes. So keep that in mind. It's
That's tax deductible you're talking about? Deductible?
something like that.
Can't
Yeah.
pronounce it.
I'm not a financial expert, so I'm not gonna go too
Yeah.
much on this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, just know what you need to, how much money you need to get to survive, and what you need to do to get the money to survive, and also know that you also need to manage and budget your finances so you stay alive and to keep your house and you don't have to get the nice car. You can get the used car. You can get, that's fine. And then
Absolutely
until you
right.
build up to the nice car.
Absolutely.
You don't have to
right.
get the big house. You can get the little house so you build up to get the big house.
Absolutely.
You don't have to
right.
get the fancy apartment. You get the apartment that's alright. And you live comfortably, to your opinion anyway. And you can just build up to where you're trying to get. Because it's really all about what you're doing to get what you're trying to achieve. I'm going to keep saying this because that's just all it is from my point of view anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a plan, but at the same time, stick to it.
Mm.
And let's circle it back to money. As far as money goes, know what you want to do with your money. Know how to budget, or learn how to budget, hopefully. And it's going to be a little... Stay away from relationships until you know how you are.
That's big. That's big, especially when, society today promotes being in relationships and love.
That's because they make money off of it.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest capitalism.
Especially divorce.
Right there.
So, because I'm never getting married.
Oh, really?
On paper, no.
Mm. You one of them, you believe in 20 years of, that's auntie and uncle. They just ain't never been.
But at the same time,
I'm messing with you, though.
But no, I get you. Same time nowadays, man. Is it even worth it to get married? Because you see all these marriages, divorces, people losing money, half their assets and resources because they didn't want them to sign a paper or they wouldn't sign the paper. Dude, and except for a certain amount of people I've asked.
Okay.
Every time I ask, is it worth? If you get married again, would you do it, or is it worth it to get married? No. I've heard that pretty much almost every time. And one thing you can also think about when you may ask if somebody was married for about 20, 30 years, how much did they have to go through to last those 20, 30 years? Because it ain't sweet.
Nah.
Being with one person for about 20, 30 years.
Nah. It's not supposed to be,
Man.
though. It's not supposed to be. That's why.
But also, what do people really got to offer as a partner nowadays? Because you look at the pool out here. You see twerking on the internet. You see modeling, quote unquote, Instagram modeling.
Yeah.
Posting half naked, getting drunk all night.
Yeah.
Not saying, well, I am saying that's a bad thing. It is what it is. But I'm not gonna criminalize and say, you're at the bottom of the barrel. But at the end of the day, bro, I'm not gonna bring home those type of women to my peoples.
Absolutely. So if not, then why focus on it then? Right?
No, of course, yeah, exactly.
Because, there's always, in anything, there's always going to be, there's always going to be bad crabs in the barrel. I'll look at life with anything and people just in general. There's some people that are just shitty, and there's some people that are don't have class and are, batshit crazy. Men and women. But everybody's not all like that. And I think, that's why it's important to know who you want to go into marriage with. Because marriage is not a game. It's not roses or, anything. Marriage isn't supposed to be easy. That's why it's through sickness or through health.
Until they leave.
Yeah, well,
until,
for the people that take the vows seriously, it's until somebody dies. One of the spouses die, or for people that have different oppositions for whatever reason until someone bounces out the door.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's all cool, right? It's great. It's great. It's supposed to be a bond.
Mm.
At the end of the day, they don't really care about that shit no more.
Yeah.
Don't nobody care. Hey, don't nobody care about actual cool being in a relationship anymore. You got feminism out there doing what they doing, and then you got quote unquote misogyny from their point of view. Granted, it happens at times, but it's a little overblown. Whatever.
Why do you think it's overblown?
Well,
Or what about it, I should say, do you think that's overblown? Do you have like an exact?
I'll put it to you this way. If you see people that speak on certain topics, it seems like they have a vendetta or a very specific reason they're talking about this and that sort of way. And they seem really, really angry at times too. Cause I don't know. They look really angry when it.
You can you refer to who are like these people? Or are you
Well,
what you're talking about?
Well, people can use their imaginations. I think people that have an idea on what I may be referring to.
Okay. Do you okay? So let's say have you heard some of these people's what they are complaining about or what they're saying?
I put it this way: I'm not saying it's not valid. However, it's situational.
So knowing that it's situational, do you
Also, though,
okay?
there's not a lot of background checks on how they may have got to that point, though. What I mean by background checks is people aren't born in a certain way; they get to be a certain way by certain things happening. So you have to ask certain questions. How did they grow up? What specific event happened to them if they want to talk about it, made them think or want to act this way? Because we all know things aren't made, sometimes they're created. So certain home environments, certain situations that might have been put into.
People are the products of where they grew up and came from. Yeah.
And it can make them a certain way.
Family pathologies and trauma passed down. Yeah, I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah. So it makes them act a certain way that they quote unquote may not have been if those certain things didn't happen to them.
And that's true indeed. That's absolutely true. However, we must also be able to take into account that we cannot gaslight whoever these people are in their experiences. That they're, speaking of us, two things can be true. One thing doesn't have to be right nor wrong. So the people whoever they are that are angry, yes, they could have factors that, come into play about their personality and the behaviors that they interact with. But it could also be true that from those interactions cause them to pick out certain people who they go after, and who they go after, whoever these angry people are, who they go after, the people that they pick might inflict trauma and certain experiences that they got from childhood and adolescence. So,
Agreed.
that just goes to the fact about what I said earlier about how accountability needs to be able to take play in order to grow.
Yeah, a lot of people not accountable for what they say and what they doing right now.
Yep.
And one size don't fit all the shoes either.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That's a big thing. People don't want to be accountable for what they say or what they get involved into, so they just like to say things and be a part of certain things that they don't vet.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I think the trouble is with that, accountability looks completely different for each individual. We all have our own definition and what accountability looks like for each and every one of us.
But at the end of the day, if you say something and you say it's from your own experience, that's fine. If you say something and you're trying to apply it to everyone, and for all the people that doesn't apply, that can't fly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why people got to stand on and accept when they did something right and wrong.
Mm.
Because there has to be at some point of, oh, I messed up. When people just say, oh, well, I still da 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 da. You feel me?
Yeah.
It.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
Just a lot of, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think this way. Well.
I get what you're saying though. Yeah, you're absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Even though you're wrong, even though that's just your experience, I get you. But, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you be over there? I'm gonna go do my thing over here.
Mm. Got you. Yeah, I understand that. Hey, sometimes it be like that, bro. It be like that.
And that's why I just hang dolo, man, for the most part, because it's fun. It's fun.
Hey.
And I also have dreams and goals of my own
Right.
that I want to achieve, and I need to be dolo.
Right. As long as
To
you
get
happy,
there.
bro. That's all that matters. As long as you can go to bed at night and say that you're happy with what you're becoming and where you came from and who you are as a person, that's all that matters, bro.
Yes, sir. Any questions for me, man?
Brother, nah. I appreciate you, letting me on this podcast, man. This thoughtful dialogue. I'm telling you, this thing gonna go out the window when they hear the conversations that we had earlier, man.
Before we get out of here, what happened to the podcast, man? Y'all still doing the podcast?
Bro, we're getting back to it. This was originally called the Last Statement podcast with Sijade and Miles Carter, but we're going to a revamp session just like you are. Like you said, life's been crazy, hectic. Junior year of college, trying to find grad schools, trying to. I always say if I had my own show, it would be called Adulting. Like, you ever seen that show, Blackness? It'll be called Adulting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
But we'll be back real soon. We're just trying to figure out some things in our personal life, what we're doing, bro.
I told you that was gonna happen.
Yes, you did. Hey, we got episodes on our flash drive, so all we gotta do is edit them and post them out, bro. Yeah. It's been crazy. Was it crazy your junior year of college?
Yeah, that's when everything started. That's when everything started.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got the piece, that's when everything started.
Oh, you transferred in your junior year?
Yeah, that's when everything started for me. So that's when I started doing music, started doing podcasts, and I started making and editing videos.
Okay.
All at the same time.
Okay. And now look where you are.
And I wasn't just doing my own podcast that we were a part of. I was also helping with the school's podcast too.
And you helped out get mine started. Selfless Andre, right here. Him and Justin helped us, so appreciate it, bro.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say I'm selfless, but I don't mind offering a helping hand if people want help. That's what I was saying. There are people that fit the selfless description way better than I do for sure. So I'm not gonna call myself, because I don't look to help people unless they want it and need it and they're asking for it.
Right.
I'm not going to just say, oh, that guy may want some help. Nope. Just because I just do me.
Right.
Because I'm trying to improve me every day.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing ever. Never to overextend yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But to be a vessel to those who need it. Absolutely, brother. Yeah. Absolutely.
And once again, anything that was said here, it's just our opinion. What we think don't matter. You can agree, disagree, whatever, like, hate, whatever. It's just how we think about things, man.
That's just how we think. And look, hey, we're both still good people. He's still a good person. Our views don't, dictate our character. Sometimes it don't, but most of the time, sometimes it doesn't. So.
At the end of the day, if you choose to be a part of a group, that's on you. If you don't, that's on you as well. However, if you liked this episode of the 2.5 LLCs podcast, you can listen at 2 space 1/2 LLCs podcast on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other platforms where you listen or hear podcasts as well. Each episode comes out on Tuesday, possibly depends on what week we have. We will drop 2, so be on the lookout for that sometimes as well. And like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Subscribe on podcast platforms. If you want to donate, all that information will be in the description below. If you want to follow me, RETROD.R.E on Instagram, RetroDre_ on Twitter, and RetroDre on all streaming platforms. Want to hear my music, and RetroDre on YouTube. You want to watch content related vlogs or whatever new stuff I'm about to get into.
Yeah. Well, we're going under a podcast revamp, but if you want to follow me on my personal social media, SIJADE 2019, you can. That's my Instagram. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. So, that being said, if you identify yourself by color, that's on you. If you are a part of
Oh my God.
if you are a part of a group, that's on you. But just know, at the end of the day, it's between you and what you want to do for your family. Because at the end of the day, you choose your own destiny.
Yeah. You choose your own destiny, and also just be mindful of your history. It's always important to know who you are as an individual, whoever you might identify as, knowing, making those decisions, know the correct history of where you came from, who you are. That's all I have to say.
And if somebody don't like what you guys say or who you are, if that's who you are, as Bertie Mac said, fuck them.